In our last section this week, we're going to simplify rational expressions. So here, we've already got a common denominator. Remember, when you add or subtract fractions, you have to have a common denominator. So here we've already got one. So that means that our common denominator will be x plus 4. That's what's going to end up on the bottom of the whole thing. And then we'll take, on the top, we have 5 minus x plus x squared plus 2x minus 5. And we'll just combine like terms. And it's nice to put things in order of degree. So the x squared will come first. And then we have negative x plus 2x. That'll give us positive x. 5 minus 5 is just 0. And so on the bottom we have our x plus 4. And that's it. Now, what do we do when the bottoms are different? So, you don't have to write this down, but let's look at an example. Let's say we had 2/3 plus 3/4. Okay, remember that? And we had to get a common denominator. What would the common denominator be? Well, it's something that both the denominators, both the bottoms, will go into. And in this case, we could just multiply. And a lot of times you could just multiply, except for sometimes it's easier to have a smaller number. But multiplying is a safe bet. So if we do 3 times 4, our common denominator would be 12. And so you go back and you ask yourselves, well, how did we get from 3 to 12? We multiplied by 4. If you multiply the bottom by 4, you have to multiply the top by 4. So that's why we have 4 times 2 is 8. And then over here on the right, how do we get from 4 to 12? We multiply by 3. If you multiply the bottom by 3, we have to multiply the top by 3. So we get 9/12. And then we could just go ahead and add and get our answer, right? Well, we're going to do the same thing over here. The same idea. So we've got 7 over 4x minus 3 over x. What would our common denominator be? Well, in this case, both 4x and x would go into 4x. So we can keep our 7 over 4x just like it is. But we need the x on the bottom of the second fraction to be 4x. How do we get it there? We multiply by 4. And if we multiply the bottom by 4, we have to multiply the top by 4. And now we can subtract. 7 minus 12 is negative 5 over 4x. Let's look at this in a bigger situation. So when you've got these, if it's something on the bottom that you can factor, you'll want to do that. And I know we haven't looked at a whole lot of factoring yet in our 071 class. So hopefully most of these won't be too difficult for you to factor. But we have 9t squared minus 16. That factors to be 3t plus 4 times 3t minus 4. So now you see what the common denominator could be, because we've already got 3t plus 4 under the second fraction. We just need a 3t minus 4. And if we multiply the bottom by 3t minus 4, we have to multiply the top by 3t minus 4. On the top t, we need to distribute, okay? T times 3t is 3t squared. And then t times negative 4 is negative 4t. Now we can take everything on the top and put it together, except be careful. That minus in there has to be distributed. So the minus has to be distributed to the 3t squared, so negative 3t squared, and also to the negative 4t. So we get plus 4t. Then we can combine the like terms on the top. Three t squared minus 3t squared, well, that's just 0. We've got a 4t left on top, and the bottom stays with our common denominator. How do we multiply and divide fractions? Well, multiplying and dividing fractions is actually easier because you don't have to worry about that dang common denominator. So if you have a over b times c over d, all you have to do is multiply straight across. A times c over b times d, and that's it. So here we'll have on the top, we'd have 15 times a plus b, and on the bottom, 5 times 11a plus 11b. Distribute, so we'll have 15a plus 15b, and on the bottom, distribute the 5, 55a plus 55b. Now, you would think, well, we could just stop there. But notice some things. We've got A's and B's in both of these. And we've got, our numbers are the same on the top and the same on the bottom. So we could factor out a 15 on the top and watch what happens. And factor out a 55 on the bottom. This enables us to cancel out the A plus B's. And our answer is just 15 over 55. So be careful when you're working your practice problems that you look at these carefully and see, is there anything you can do to simplify in order to get full credit on your problem? And then last, how do we divide fractions? It's pretty simple too. If you have a over b divided by c over d, well, when you divide fractions, you flip the second fraction and multiply. So now it becomes a over b times d over c. And then you just multiply straight across. AD over BC. Don't try to cross multiply. It doesn't work every time. Okay? That's something you do when you've got a proportion and equals in between. Okay? Flip the second one and multiply. That'll make sure you get it right each time. So we've got x squared plus 5x plus 6 over 2x plus 6. And then we'll do times and flip the second. 8x squared on top, 7x plus 14 on the bottom. So 8x squared will be distributed to x squared plus 5x plus 6. And on the bottom we have 2x plus 6 times 7x plus 14. We'll be foiling that. So distribute their 8x squared. Or let's see, wait a minute. Let's see, is there any way we could simplify this first before we just worry about distributing and foiling? Sometimes it makes it's easier to look at that, because if you look at the bottom here, notice how a 2 can be factored out. and a 7 can be factored out. And on the top, we could factor x squared plus 5x plus 6. Remember, what multiplies to give you 6 that adds to give you 5? That would be positive 2 and positive 3. And notice, our x plus 2 goes away, and our x plus 3 goes away. So we end up with 8x squared over 2, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4x squared. Oh, I forgot my 7. 2 times 7. So 4x squared divided by 7 is actually our simplified answer. And that concludes week 1.